The last time, Mark, that I can think of a City player coming through the ranks to have such an impact, have such hype, and in fact, James, you should know him as well because he was a youngster, would be Michael Johnson. I can't think of a player in between who has that same sort of hype behind him. Maybe Michael Richards, but he was brought in from elsewhere at a slightly later age than Michael Johnson was. Is that a fair comparison in a sense?
I think Phil Foden is at a greater level and will hit a much higher level than obviously Michael Johnson was able to do, only because he had problems with injuries and the like. So Phil Foden is a special talent, and I think Pep's really managed him absolutely correctly, because there's a number of last couple of seasons. On the outside looking in, I keep saying this because we're not privy to it, but there was a number of occasions you think, well, just give him a little bit more game time, just give him a few more games, just give him an opportunity to play 2 or 3 games in a row. But Pep knows the boy. David Silva was there. He was training day in, day out alongside these quality players and learning. And I think his timeline has been perfect. I think now he's ready to take on the mantle of being an outstanding player, not only for City, but for England as well. So I think Pep needs to be commended for that. I think the way they've nurtured his talent and exposed him to Premier League football and top games has been exactly right. And I think they'll reap the benefits in the future.
Jamo, your take on the rise of Foden? Because if we look at the stats, I mean, the last few seasons has seen more game time, more game involvements, more game starts, and he's certainly proved his worth so far.
Yeah, I love it. I love him, and I have done all season. I think what's interesting, as Mark said there, the fact that Pep has allowed him to grow into that position, allowed him to grow as a #1 choice, if you like, in the team picks. And also as well, if you go back to Champions League, there was a moment in that first leg against Paris Saint-Germain, because the first half, Phil Foden didn't feature much at all. And Pep talked about the players looking nervous, and he understood it. He said, it's a semi-final of a European Champions League, so he understood his team being nervous. But in the second half, Phil Foden did one bit of skill where he muscled off a couple of players and passed the ball out wide. And it was almost like the moment that he arrived on the world stage, in a sense, even though a lot of Man City fans said he's world class already. And from that moment, in the second leg especially, you had Neymar in that PSG side, and you had Phil Foden. And if you didn't know anything about football and someone told you one of them was one of the best players in the world, the other one's an upcoming, you would have got them mixed up, because Phil Foden looked like the player that Neymar should have been. And going forward, it's because of what Pep's done, slowly introducing him into games, not starting him when everyone else was calling for it. I mean, today, I suppose, as a Man City follower, a supporter, you expect him to come on and turn the game around, which maybe would have happened had that penalty been given. But the point is, he is in a very good place at the moment. To compare him to other players, I think would be wrong. I think he's a completely different player to the likes of Johnson. I think he shows so much skill and ability. And I don't know about you, Mark, but when I see certain players, if I get excited watching a player, then there's something good about them. It's not that I'm the ultimate judge on football, but it's very, very rare that you get excited by young players. You just say, oh, they're good, they might have a good future. This kid is, he's 20, 21 years old. I mean, this man he's exciting. And if he can get any better than he is now, Adam, we're going to win the Euros.
Yeah, wow, it's a big statement.
Sorry, I just got to show that one in.
usually only goalkeepers excite Jamo as well, so that's really saying something for an outfield player to attract Jamo's interest. But you know what? I'm looking at the options for England. Gareth Southgate will have a major headache in terms of selection. When you look at the talent that England have in an attacking sense, and you compare it to that golden generation of which you were part of, Jamo, I think back particularly to 2010 with your Lampards and your Gerrards and Rooney's. Do you think there might be even more potential in the squad now than there was when those players I mentioned were in their heyday? You just said England have a shot of winning the Euros.
Yeah, well, you look at, I mean, the 2 players who I think are probably top of the pile at the moment didn't start today's game, in Mason Mount and Phil Foden. I mean, Mason Mount he's up there as well. I mean, He's just, Adam, it's just exciting when you watch these players play. I mean, the thing with Foden is, and I think he's been sort of compared to a street footballer in a lot of ways, and apparently he spent a lot of time playing street football, which slightly makes sense. But he rolls, turns, controls. He does things with the ball, which these acrobats that used to turn up at half-time and do football juggling skills, well, he does it on a pitch in the game, under pressure with, I say under pressure, obviously not for him, but in the pressurised situation of an elite game. And when you see players doing that, and they're not unique in world football, I have to say that, but it's unique seeing such young talent for England. So, yeah, of course, and Adam, when England gets to finals, they're always going to win until someone says otherwise. So I'm flying the flag a little bit firmer this time around, because these two, chucking Henderson in goal, and I think England have got, this is the one.
Well, lucky there's now VAR and goal line technology, so there's no ghost goals from Germany.
We would have won then, Adam. We would have won then.
Germany.
Definitely.
Yeah, that's true. You remember that. I'm almost apprehensive to ask Mark here, because I know you're a very proud Welshman, Mark. For you to comment on England might make you a little bit angry of me, but go ahead. Anything you want to add on about the talent that England have here, Gareth Southgate has at his disposal? Because it would be a manager's dream in many senses. We haven't even mentioned Lingard's name. We haven't even mentioned Maddison or Grealish, Harry Kane up front. There's a wealth of talent there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I expect them to have a good tournament time and time again over the years. They've failed to produce, and that's always delighted me as a Welshman. So let's hope that happens again. But no, you're right in saying that. I actually feel these young players coming through is fantastic, because they have to show such quality to be able just to become a Premier League player. The bar is so high now in becoming a quality player, and for you as a young player to be able to demonstrate to the club and to your coaches and ultimately to the first team manager that you're good enough to play in a Premier League team of one of the top six. I mean, that takes some doing, and credit to these young players to be able to do that, because it's not easy to be a Premier League player. Man City for years had a reputation of bringing through loads and loads of players, like Mika Richards, Stevie Ireland and Johnson we've mentioned, but they were at a lower level. So when they broke through, they were in the old first division or second division, and it was easier to blood youngsters then. These players now are playing at the top level of world football. It's not an English league, it's not a British league. The Premier League is a world league, and for them to break through, it's credit to them.
Well, some of these English players we're talking about, Foden and Mount, you'd think would play a crucial role in the Champions League final, which is currently set to take place in Istanbul. Gentlemen, we're led to believe there are talks ongoing that it will be moved. Now, just going to